Welcome to Wade In, a podcast where we step into real conversations about faith, life, and what it means to follow Jesus together. Thanks for joining us. Let's wade in. I guess we'd call this a special edition of the Wade In podcast.
Cool.
We got Jim Reid here, fresh back from Cuba.
Yeah.
So excited to spend some time kind of hearing about your trip and what you guys did and who went with you and stuff like that. And so maybe just start us off with why Cuba and why now? Because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of reasons not to drop into there.
Yeah, there are a lot. So why Cuba? Why not?
Okay.
So that's kind of my thing. Sometimes I kind of, well, why not go there? But I built a relationship. I got a friend that's done ministry down in the past. Okay. It shared with me just how warm and loving the Cuban people are and how open they are to us coming in and helping them. And he was connected with the local ministry that helps support the Cuban churches. And so I wanted to go for that reason. And, you know, as a church, all of our work, we're going east constantly. You know, we got a lot of work. But there's nothing that we're doing right now in our hemisphere other than our work in Texas, you know. And I thought, well, we need to establish some stuff going south, you know. Yeah. And, well, Cuba's the first place heading south is Cuba, so.
Yeah, and so take us on the path to get there. You guys flew out of Birmingham.
Yeah, flew out of Birmingham to Miami.
Okay.
You know, so it's a quick flight. And then from Miami into Havana.
All right.
It's easy. We left at 6 a.m. We were there for lunch.
Wow.
No jet lag, no time differences.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's a 1 hour. So,
okay.
You know, you can adjust.
Yeah. Okay. So I know that communication between here and there is limited. It was limited. We were thankful to get any correspondence at all from you guys. But one of the message that I received from, you know, your team was just how powerful the worship, at least one worship service was, and just the being in the church there. And so I'm just wondering, and maybe that was the moment, but either that moment or another moment where you, in particular, kind of sensed or felt God's presence in maybe an unexpected or powerful way.
You know, it was in that service because, you know, like I said, it's a tough time to be in Cuba right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's very little electricity anymore. It's going to get shut down pretty soon because there's no fuel for the generators. And when that happens, there's no water. And so they're suffering. But it was the most amazing worship service where these people were full of hope and full of the Spirit and just worshiping, praising God, despite the fact that we were in the dark at their church. It had no electricity. You know, they had a little battery-operated boombox thing that they played their music with. And it was just one of the strongest worship experiences. And I just thought, you know, their hope isn't in electricity, is it in the political system, any of those things. Their hope is in Christ. And so they're not worried about all that stuff. That does not play into how they worship. They haven't had water at that church in 15 days. And so that means the pastor has not had water. She lives there, so she hasn't had water or electricity for 15 days. And they're worshiping, they're happy. They're not complaining.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You remove all the flash and flare and, you know, either the faith is there or it isn't.
Yeah. And the church was packed.
Yeah.
Absolutely packed.
Okay, so what does packed look like?
There was probably about 100 people in that church.
Okay. Yeah. And what were some of the daily tasks? I mean, when you advertised this mission trip, you know, to the church, what was all right, guys, we're going down to.
We signed up for light construction and painting.
Okay.
And so that's what they gave us. There were 2 churches that needed some painting done.
Yeah.
The church we worshiped in had built an addition that needed painting. And then we worked at another church that actually had built a new sanctuary that'll hold probably 150 people, depending on how much you cram them in there, you know.
Yeah.
Very much like our churches we worked with in India, that size.
Well, I was going to say, well, for perspective, our worship center here seats 200.
Yeah.
So just maybe a little bit smaller.
little bit smaller, and they take up less room.
Okay.
So we like
Right.
elbow room here.
Okay.
They're willing
Fair.
to sit
Yeah.
and
Jam.
stand.
Yes.
Yeah, so they'll jam in.
Okay.
So they're running probably 60 right now, I think, at that church.
Awesome.
So got a brand new building. We got to paint it. So
Yeah.
we put the first coat of paint on it.
Yeah.
And, so that was the task was, hey, we're going to paint the buildings. But we got to do it with the church members.
Yeah.
So, one church, we had 4 people on our team. They had 8 people helping us.
Okay.
So we're tripping over each other, sloshing paint on each other. It was great. I mean, we had a blast. We couldn't, communicate, but, you can always point and go, you missed a spot.
Some things are universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
So, all right. So you may have, I think you feel like you maybe touched on this a little bit, just talking about their hope, but I'm just wondering, are there things that you're kind of bringing back from the Cuban church, from Cuban believers that maybe surprised you or just challenged your faith, personally?
Well, it was that message of hope that really just resounded in me. We sat down one night at Mission Landing at our place where we were staying, and had a heart-to-heart with the pastor of the churches, the 2 of them. And, we asked, look, these are dark times for Cuba. No electricity, no water, food's going to get sparse. It's going to get bad. It's getting bad. How do the people of Cuba feel, and how does your church feel about what's happening right now as we sit in this moment in history? And her word was hope.
Wow.
We know it's going to get better. We know this is the dark before the light. And they truly believe that. And but what if it doesn't? Our hope's in Christ.
It's one thing to read that in Scripture and know that things like that are going to happen. It's another to be in it and experiencing it and living it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned Mission Landing. What's that?
So Mission Landing is a ministry that was established by my new best friend.
Okay.
Dan Sorber. He's a businessman up in Syracuse, New York. And about 18 years ago, God just placed the people of Cuba on his heart, began going down, doing trips, ministering where he could. And he's established a ministry that its sole purpose is to come alongside the pastors of Cuba and assist them. So he's been working, like I said, for almost 20 years. Just recently, in the last 4 or 5, he was able to purchase a big home down there and renovate it for mission teams to come in. So before, you would have to stay at what they would call a hotel or a bed and breakfast. It was just kind of sketchy where you could stay. But now you got this big, beautiful house to stay in.
Gosh, hearing you talk about Dan, right here we talk about, living sent and finding your kingdom platform, that place of maximum kingdom impact for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard someone find their kingdom platform as a nation, but that's basically Dan. That's his platform, his place of influence and impact where he's focusing and just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
Is Cuba.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he fell in love with the people.
Yeah.
And said, this is where God's called me to make an impact.
And so the Lord just continues to make connections and build bridges.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Dan?
I met Dan through my friend Sean Doss. Sean used to do lots of mission trips. I went on several mission trips with him. He had a missions organization. And he met Dan on another mission trip. And so Sean did mission trips to Cuba.
Okay.
And so I always wanted to go. Sean would tell me about these amazing mission trips to Cuba. And so an opportunity came up. I went last year to be able to do the groundwork and check things out and meet the pastors and stuff.
Yeah.
And fell in love with the people immediately.
That's wild.
Warm people, loving people. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one time I heard, I got to sit in one of our growth groups to hear you and Sam share. Y'all went to, do I understand this right? That y'all went to lunch one day at a restaurant and you walked in and there was a fella sitting there wearing a certain baseball cap.
There was a brother with an Alabama baseball cap on. Yes. We were sitting there eating lunch, and all of a sudden this guy comes walking past. He's got a bright, crimson hat with an A on it. And Dan gave him a roll tide, but we got no response.
Okay.
He was a Cuban pastor.
Yeah.
And thankfully there's another church in town that has been working down in Cuba for quite a while.
Okay.
And they're doing something similar that we were as far as Dan. They recently bought a house. so their teams have a place to stay.
Okay.
And so they were having lunch at the same restaurant.
That's wild.
You can't get away from Alabama
Tuscaloosa,
fans.
Alabama, in Havana, Cuba.
Right.
Crossing paths.
It was awesome.
That is very, very cool. All right. So, in all the different places you went, people you met, was there maybe one personality or relationship that maybe especially kind of impacted you?
Wow. You know, there was a pastor team, you know, they very much work as teams there. And Juan Carlos and his wife Lucy really stuck out for a couple of reasons. One, I can't get past the fact that I've got this Cuban guy, and he's married to a woman called Lucy, and she has red hair.
Yeah, okay.
And she has red hair. So that was just like messing with my mind the whole time.
Does she eat Vitamita Benjamins?
No, I don't think so. But their energy, Juan Carlos's enthusiasm and energy is amazing. And then and Lucy is like this driving power behind him, you know, very discerning. So it was just a neat team to work with and to be a part of their lives for a couple of days. Yeah. So,
that's cool.
You know, always happy, always up, always excited about what God's doing.
Very cool. All right. So here's one. And you and I were talking before we started recording. When it comes to missions, there's the task, you know,
Yeah.
and then there's the little tasks, you know, the things that you do. There's why you go, and then there's what you do there. And I'm just wondering, because you've been a lot of different places. I don't know how many different nations and countries that you've visited, but when you think about Cuba, is there anything about this trip to Cuba that has maybe changed or stretched or just impacted your understanding and perspective on mission work?
I don't know if it's changed it. It reinforced it.
Okay.
That the power of relationships and encouragement, you know, because like I said, there's 4 of us. There were 8 other, you know, there was all their guys in the room. They can paint that room without me.
Yeah.
You know, now our funds that we brought helped to buy the paint, you know, but you don't want to we could send the money and they could paint it. But the ministry was the encouragement.
Being there.
You can't really measure what that means in their lives. The joy that you see when they know that we've given up our time, we've come down there, spent our money to be there with them, you know, it encourages them and it energizes them. And they're so thankful, so appreciative. But it's just a real shot in the arm for them that we're there. So the task was paint, but the ministry was the relationships and the encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just reinforced that.
Yeah.
You can't overstate that importance of coming alongside people like that and let them know people care about
Yeah. Kind of in that vein, you know, as people listen to and watch this, what are kind of the big things that you would like for our church in particular, our people, to know about the church in Cuba, you know, the believers in Cuba, and in particular, how, you know, moving forward, how can we best pray for and support them?
Well, the people of Cuba, despite 60 years of living in oppression, from, you know, communist oppression, and even sometimes being harassed by the government, have in no way given up or lost their joy, their enthusiasm, and their heart for evangelism and sharing the gospel. So, you know, pray that they never lose that even these dark times are fixing to hit and it's going to get really bad. You know, they're not planning on shutting down.
Right.
They're planning on continuing on. The resiliency is amazing. So just pray for, you know, that they don't lose hope, that they, you know, stay strong in their faith. They, you know that we love them and that we continue to lift them up in prayer. Yeah, pray for them.
Yeah. And you guys went in with missionary visas, right?
Yeah.
So Cuba's one of the few nations that you can go in and, hey, here's who I am and what I'm about.
Yeah. And that happens for a couple of reasons. One is they're not really worried about Christianity.
Okay.
You know, they've got this great big huge statue of Jesus looking over the bay. And when asked about it, Castro said, I don't think their Jesus has done America any good. I'm not really worried about him.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they don't see us as a threat, and we keep the people happy. The church tends to kind of keep people from, rioting in the streets.
Yeah.
So they like that.
Yeah.
And we're bringing in resources to help the people. And so they're all about that because they can't take care of their people. Their people are starving.
Yeah. But even still, I think you mentioned that y'all had to be careful and aware of some conversations that you had in vehicles and in places.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you're safe, that nobody's listening to you.
And talk about that when no one's listening to, like you're talking about electronic.
The walls have ears.
The walls have
remember
ears.
that old thing from the Cold War?
Yeah.
The walls have ears.
Okay.
They still do in Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to kind of watch out. So there's always that potential, like the van goes in for routine government inspection. So we feel sure that it's probably got ears.
Yeah. Little extra.
Little extra. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you can talk about Jesus anywhere.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So do you anticipate going back to Cuba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
I really think when this blows over, and most of us think within the year it will, this is going to happen pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so I'm planning on going back next February.
Awesome.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
It's going to be a party.
All right. So last question. What would you say, what advice would you give to someone who maybe to Cuba, but maybe to one of our other trips is, they haven't taken a mission trip, but they're starting to think about it. What would you tell them?
Well, absolutely do it to start with. I think we're all called in some way to missions wherever it is. If every Christian and missionary are a liar, I think somebody said that one time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if God is putting it on your heart, and God's the one that actually creates this space in our hearts for missions and gives us the ability to think about these crazy things like, I'm going to go to India, or I'm going to go to Cuba, He's put that in your heart. Well, follow that, pray through it, ask him to continue to guide you on that, and, open up doors. If you go, I wonder, is that just my crazy idea? No, it's God's crazy idea. He's the one that gave it to you. Follow through with it,
Love that.
and be prepared for it. Yeah. I think everybody needs a passport, so they're ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool. Well, thanks for taking all the time to share anything. Is there anything else you wanted to share about Cuba before we sign off?
I tell you what, I want everybody to know just how awesome it was at Mission Landing.
Okay.
And the ladies that took care of us there. So they're all pastors' wives. And so they're employed there full time off of what we pay to go there and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you what, they took care of us. Of course, we're a bunch of men. They figure we don't have our wives. We need it, and we did. It was fine, but just doted on us, would bring us out coffee all the time. The food was amazing. We didn't suffer, guys. I'm going to tell you. It was no suffering. It was no electricity for a little bit, but
okay.
You're sitting outside.
Compare and contrast Cuban coffee, Indian filter coffee.
Cuban coffee's 10 times stronger.
Stronger.
Wow. Got a kick. Oh yeah. So Steve Burdette, now he's a coffee guy.
Yeah.
And he was painting, and he was trucking along pretty good. They came out with these little coffee cups about this big.
Yeah.
And it's the darkest, thickest coffee, and it's half sugar. And the guy was like hit a turbocharger on him or something. It was amazing. So Cuban coffee is great. Yeah. Super strong. It's good. I brought some home.
In all of your world travels, do you have a favorite cup of coffee?
Yeah. And it's Ethiopian coffee. Yeah. So in South Sudan, that's kind of a thing in that region is to have somebody from Ethiopia that does the coffee, and it's fresh roasted, literally like roasting it on a fire right here.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to grind it, and now I'm going to make your coffee.
Whoa.
And it's amazing. The Ethiopian coffee bean and just that whole thing, the way they do it. And yeah, that was really good. That's the highlight of the food scene in South Sudan is their Ethiopian coffee.
All right. Very cool. I know it's kind of a random way to wrap up, but I was just like,
Well, these things matter.
They do.
You got to know about your coffee and stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
That's good. So safe to say that if you take a mission trip with us and you, there'll be coffee.
Absolutely. There's going to be coffee.
There's going to be coffee.
I bring my own in case.
There you go.
I'm going to find coffee.
I love it. I love it. So, well, very cool. I know that you're always eager to share even more stories if our folks want to connect with you.
Yes.
What is the best way for people to find you, whether it's in person or on social media?
On social media? Let's see. Well, social media, I mean, I got a Facebook page, Jim Reid, and all my pictures and stuff. Easiest way to get me is, text me or message me off of Facebook.
Yeah.
You can text me, call me. That's the easy stuff. I mean, the only time I'm really doing anything on social media is when I'm on a trip or right after I post a bunch of pictures.
Okay.
Try to do a little podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
So we're there a week, and I think I wrote, had a great time. I've been told you need to add a little more.
Add a little more.
I'm not a writer, and I'm there on my phone somewhere. So I just started a little podcast that you can tap a link, and I'll talk to you for a minute or two about what we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, do it.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jim. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's fun.
All right.
Thanks.